Call the community services meeting to order at 3:08. Councilor Fishenhoff, can you do that?
Our head, dear Heavenly Father, you're here today to do the business of the nation. Please bless us with wise decisions, temperance. Please allow us to put the good of the nation in front of everything else. Please bless all those that are away from home, our troops, and the nation. Amen.
Roll call, please.
Dick White,
Here.
Frankie Hargis,
Present.
Bill Anglin, Jack Baker,
Here.
Joe Byrd,
Honey.
Julia Coates, here. Jody Fishingham, here. Meredith Fraley,
Here.
Janelle Fulbright, Don Garvin,
Honey.
Chuck Hopkins Jr.,
Here.
Tana Gloria, Lee Keener,
Honey.
Curtis Snell,
Here.
David Shorten, David Walkingston, Karen Cowan Watson. We do have a quorum.
Thank you. I'd like to call for approval of minutes. So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Reports for Marshall Land.
We have a couple of things to report, and I'll ask for questions. The Colt voucher program, as indicated in your report, we have served to date 4,726 Colt vouchers. This is not our final count, though, and if you have anyone in your district that did not get a Colt voucher, we still have some funding left over that we can help them with, so be sure to contact me where I can get the information. And we'll need a name and a contact number for that. The Elders in Need program, we are making our preparations to start this program back up in February. And our total count for this fall was 1,268. At the same time that our Angel Tree program was going on, we implemented a new program and started an Elder Angel Tree program. And we will try to get that out in 14 counties next year for our elders. Do you have any questions?
Frankie?
Marcia, I had a call the other day from a gentleman whose grandchildren was taken away from his daughter in Arkansas. And the children were placed with a non-tribal family or couple that has since moved into Texas. And is there anything ICW can do to help him? He said there was a ICW worker there with him, but the judge didn't really pay much attention to her, or she didn't have much to say.
Arkansas, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is one of those states that doesn't recognize the in child welfare. But if you will email a referral to Linda Woodward and CC to me, she'll get back with you on that, and I will see. Okay.
Thank you.
Lee? Mr. King?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Marcia, what's the deadline for code voucher on this next round?
With
You
what?
have additional monies left. Is there a new deadline? Or
Well,
just whenever you run out of
when
money?
they're gone, they're gone. But what they did, and they've done this every year, is they buy. It's not credit cards, but it's a bunch of vouchers, and as the families come in, they give them those to go use. And I didn't get the final count on that, but I can.
No, that's okay. You have more than enough for a little while.
I think we have plenty.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Councilor Watts?
Thank you. Have we hired an elder advocate for Rogers County yet, for Foster County area?
No, but we have interviewed, and I don't believe we've made a selection yet.
Okay, or is there anybody else's elder advocate hired but ours?
No,
No.
no, we've only hired.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Councilor Roscoe?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Marcia, I've got a question. I'm going to direct your attention to page 2 of your report. You've got E and F, Elders in Need Program, and then Elder Advocacy Program. The Elder Advocacy Program says in the month of November we were able to serve 19 of our elders with this program. Year to date, Elders in Need is 20. I just wonder, what was something else supposed to go here? Because elder advocacy is what Councilor Cam Watts just asked about, and I'm just wondering what that means. Page 2, paragraph F, the top section.
Well, are you talking about the Elder Advocacy Program?
Yeah, it says next to the Elder Advocacy Program, in the month of November, we served 19 with our...
That's a totally different program. That's just, if we get a request for someone who can't get up to their home,
Okay.
or they need ramps or stuff like that.
Okay, I see.
It's just a totally different program.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Thank you.
My apologies, this question I had floating and it wasn't, I think it should be with you. Our Foil Senior Nutrition site, there's questions around how it's funded, and thank you, I think we finally have a staff person. I love it, thank you. So there's nothing in the budget, I think it's been a question that had been posed by a community member. So we give like $100 a month to that church where it's at today, to offset utilities, but we've doubled the number of days we're going to be there, but we don't double the amount of money we help to offset utilities, or how does that work?
Now, there was a question on whether, how many days that they were requesting to be open. Here, I don't know right
Can you get
offhand.
this in writing? Because I haven't checked my email.
You want to know about the $100 electric stipend or whatever they call
Where are
it?
we at with it? How's it funded? How does it look? Are we okay with it?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Marcia. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Marcia. Good report. Mr. Rawls? Ron?
Good afternoon. Any specific questions for us?
Go ahead, Kara.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Is the community youth center, people have been asking about it, but it appears to have been pulled, the application from online. Could you have your staff look at your webpage, do community youth development and adult youth, that adult community grant, and make sure kind of that we've got all the applications online and the information? Because the way I read it, things are always changing, because I know our website's dynamic, is that youth grant can just disappear even completely as a bullet point. So, and if anybody has any questions, if you sign up to, they can call me and I'll tell them what I'm seeing,
Okay.
how I'm reading it. And then the other question is, do you have your at-large schedule for meetings and such so that council people wanting to attend our regular big governmental meetings could attend? In the past, there's at least one meeting each year designated for governmental officials to visit with folks and make sure to answer questions. I haven't seen the schedule in person.
Okay, I'll get the schedule.
I can answer that. I don't know.
Oh,
I just submitted that schedule to the chief's office, and I'm waiting on approval for the annual visit from administration.
Mr. Chairman, Mayor, so normally that also includes the legislative branch. So I understand that they may drive because we utilize resources, but since the at-large folks don't have the same access to their constituents that we do, so will the invite also not include the invitation to the council people and stuff, especially our two at-large, or?
Yes, the invitation will
Okay.
include the at-large representatives.
You were specific to the executive branch, and it didn't, so I wanted to ask.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Councilor Hoskin?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This question will be for you and for Mr. Cooper. I have a situation where I have a constituent who's Cherokee, very low income, lives in dilapidated housing. The problem is the Cherokee's a minor, and his mother is not a Cherokee, not a Native American. His father passed away. So is there anything we can do for this family, under our current rules, anything we can do for this family to help with the home that the child lives in terms of rehab, and to Mr. Cooper in terms of just general housing assistance? Because I don't know how often this comes up. This certainly has come up for this particular family.
It's come up a couple of times for rehab. The family would qualify because there was a Native American in the family, and they would receive preference, assuming the Native American is Cherokee, making an assumption that they're within the income limit, of course.
Sure.
But, yeah, they'll qualify for our
All right,
program.
so
It's a change for us. We just changed that not long ago.
So the child would basically be the hook there, if you will. The child's the Native American. It's not the parent that owns the home's not Native American, but we would still help them.
Yes.
Okay, very good.
And over on our side, for any of our rental programs, whether it's rental assistance or one of our apartments, any of those type of programs.
What if we find that the home is in excess of, I think maybe it's an unofficial standard, but it's a $30,000 worth of rehab, that it just wouldn't make sense to put it in? I mean, would we still look at replacing that home?
Yes, we would.
Okay. Very good. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Wells, I just had a suggestion for you. You know, I've called you many times with questions from constituents, and they'll always say, well, somebody come out and took pictures, or somebody come out and did this or that. Could you, well, I guess I should ask first, the people that go out and make their home visits, do they have business cards?
Yes.
Can we make sure that they leave one when they go out and make those visits, so that when you ask who came out, or who did you talk to, that maybe they can tell us, and that would help us a whole lot?
Sure. Good idea.
Julia?
Yeah, thank you. My question was for Ms. Mackey also, when she was up for just a moment ago. That's when I raised my hand. So, about the annual visits with the elected officials, this has always been with all the elected officials, not just the chief, not just the executive branch. And I know in budget hearings, we were instructed by the speaker that our community meetings were under COTA, and that budget has now been transferred under you. And so I think that those annual meetings are considered to be our meetings, the same same type of meeting that every counselor here has within their district with their constituents. So I think that, and I'm going to request this of you, that you would send the calendar to each of us for our approval as well, because I think that's only fair that these things be scheduled on weekends that are not going to conflict with events that we may also already have scheduled and so forth. And that way we have an equitable situation, so that it is not the executive branch and an employee of the Cherokee Nation that is sort of directing to the counselors in the legislative branches what their community needs to be. Is that agreeable to send that to us for our approval as well? Of the dates, to make sure that we can make it.
Would you defer to me for just a minute?
Madam Speaker, could you give us some information?
Well, I don't recall exactly what I said, but they're the ones that's in charge of it. So it will be their call how they handle it.
But Madam Speaker, when you have a community meeting, do you leave it up to employees of the Cherokee Nation to set the date of the community meeting and then tell you when it is?
Well, we operate on $3,000 a year where you all have.
Right. And you have
that budget $189, so it's a little bit different, Julia.
It is different. And the difference is that your constituents are all within a fairly local area. And for our constituents...
No, we have constituents out amongst at-large people, too.
Well, but they don't come to community meetings in Tahlequah. And what
Well,
I'm saying...
I beg to differ with you. I've had a number that do come from out of area to our community meetings, because they are our constituents.
The point of this, and we are getting definitely off point, is that we have an employee and the executive branch who are setting the dates for community meetings. The only time, one time a year, when Jack and I get to meet with our constituents, and we do represent approximately 10 to 15 times as many people as any other counselor on this body, and so yeah, it's going to take a little bit more. We already have a travel budget to go to those meetings, so that's not the issue. There is a budget under Donnie to logistically plan the meetings and so forth, and I'm not asking to do that, so that's not the issue. All I'm asking is for the courtesy that the dates be set in cooperation, in collaboration with the officials of the legislative branch as well, so that we can be sure to be there the one time a year, you know, when we are able to meet with our constituents. That's all I'm asking. And I'm asking that the focus of the meeting, and I presume that this will be the case, is on the elected officials on that day. That's all I'm asking, is that we
Here's what
we
we
can
could
cooperate that way.
Here's what we could do. We could give you the same 3,000 and Jack the same 3,000 that all the rest of us give. And you could have your meetings as long as your $3,000 would allow it, or if you want to take some out of your pocket.
Well, your $3,000 covers mailings to, what, how many, couple,
Our
10,
$3,000
30,000 people, something like that.
Covers meetings.
Yeah.
You have the same 3,000, no, it's 4,000.
I don't have any money.
No, you have $4,000 for mail-outs.
No, we don't. We don't.
You're not in the mail-out group?
No,
Well,
we're
we
not.
could, it'd still be a lot cheaper to give you 3,000 and 4,000 and say, call your own meetings.
Well,
And you'd be
except that
treated
when
like
we...
all the rest of us on the council.
Except that when we are not like all the rest of you, because we represent so very, very many more people, and therefore we have to mail out to so very, very many more people, that in fact is not equitable treatment.
That's why you have a
And-
phone, that's why you have an iPad, that's why you have a computer, that's why you have internet access. Now, this is probably an argument for another day,
It is. All
but
I'm
you are no
asking...
different than any other councilman in this room. All of us represent our constituents.
I am simply asking, I'm not trying to get into this argument, and I'm not quite sure why the council and the speaker are involving themselves in it. I'm simply asking Ms. Mackey for a collaborative sort of effort so that we can get a date that is good for everybody.
Julia, I wonder, it sounds like there's a discussion there.
It does, and I don't know.
And so I wonder if you all could get together and figure this out outside of this community services meeting. Is that a possibility? I'm just asking. Would that be okay for you guys to get a meeting, the speaker, Donnie, Julia, and Jack?
I don't think it has to be anybody except Ms. Mackey and myself, actually. I mean, it's a simple enough question, just, you know, for...
Whoever.
For
Well, I wanna
courtesy
make sure
to make
I-
sure that the dates that you're planning for the chief are also good for us. That's all I'm asking.
Yeah, because
It's
my
not anything else.
responsibility is to the executive branch and implement and carry out the programs. And I want to make sure that is a priority, and I want to make sure I understand the budgeting, because there's not a clear definition or separation between the legislative and executive branch on this. And so that's why I asked for some input. I wanted some opinion on, I know how things have worked in the past, but moving forward, this is about a presentation we make on behalf of the executive branch mainly. So.
Well, thank you for stating that, because that clarifies it very well that the legislative branch is not a part of this.
The executive branch is invited, but we do a lot of legwork in terms of the cost and the mail-outs. And I've gone to many local meetings where I've seen the local representatives ensuring that the food is there, that people are notified, and there's a lot of work that goes into that. And so we're the only area that we're the executive branch takes that on. And so I want some clear definition on how we should do this moving forward.
Okay, I'm just asking for a simple courtesy that has been extended to us in the past, and I'm not getting a response, so. But I agree, we can talk about this after. Sure. Thank you. Thank you.
And do I have a clarification here?
I would ask that this be put on as a discussion and possible action on rules, and I would ask the rules chair to entertain putting that on for the 29th. The source of funding for at-large meetings for the at-large counselors. And we just need to discuss this whole funding issue, because there's some disparity here, and maybe we need to take it up at this time. It's become an issue, and let's, if you would put that on the rules, I would certainly appreciate it.
Certainly, Madam
And I would be glad to be the sponsor of that.
Very good.
May I?
Yes, ma'am.
Just in response to that, I don't know that this has been an issue. It's been made an issue, certainly, but even, I don't necessarily disagree with needing a clarification of it all. What I, again, would ask as a courtesy, if you would care to extend it, I'm not going to be able to be here on the 29th because of the change in the meeting date. I'll be in the process of moving.
Can you come in through the internet?
No, I won't be able to because I will actually be on the road on that day.
Well,
And if
Jack
we could add,
here.
would we be able to do it in February?
If it carries over to February, but I would like to have it as early as possible, January 29th.
But you would not extend the courtesy to me? Because is there anything particularly urgent about this that it could not wait until February?
Well, it's kind of been an issue for some time. We need to settle it. And Mr. Baker, you will be here, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so, I mean, choices have to be made, Julia. Choices have to be made between this job and another job.
Point of order. This is an unnecessary discussion. I'm just concerned about where we're going.
Ms. Watts, I've got Mr. Thornton up next. Go ahead, David.
Yeah, point of order.
Point of order.
I'd like to ask Ms. Mackey a couple of questions. I haven't got to see your schedules. Every time I ask for one, you always send it to me. But what I would like to know is, in your scheduling, how many times do you go to Phoenix a year?
Yeah. What my understanding is of the schedule is that there's an annual chiefs or an annual visit from elected officials is how it's been in the past. And then there are monies set aside for 3 more presentations, whether it is a community development presentation, a culture and history presentation. Those are more open.
I don't need that.
Okay, I'm sorry.
How many times are you going to Phoenix in 1 year?
It should be 4 times.
4 times?
Yeah. It should be 4 of each of the 22 at large.
Wow. Okay. Now I need to ask, when you was in Houston, Texas, and Tampa, Florida, did you make any tapes of those visits?
I do. I try to audio or video record wherever I go to the meetings, yeah.
Okay. Is there any way that we can get that unscript, where you haven't went over it and changed anything?
Yeah, I don't know how to edit those things, so I'd be,
Okay.
yeah, so I can
Okay.
get that to you.
Okay, I appreciate that very much.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Can I ask just one question on that one there?
Yes, you can.
Could you provide a copy of those videos to the council house?
Sure. Yes, thank you. Mhm.
I've got Kara and Julia. Kara, did you have a question?
Mine was
or-
just a point of order way earlier, longer.
I understand. And Julia, did you have
Well, I
any
just had a
comment?
quick, because in the past, it's only been 2 visits a year plus the annual, so you've expanded it to 3 now plus the annual, is that?
Yeah, and that's going to be open to a culture and history presentation, a presentation from, we're looking at some of our living treasures, and a deeper down presentations.
So every organization now will be getting 4 visits a year.
That's what we're
basically.
trying to do. That's what we're trying to do.
Okay.
I think before, the history course took a lot of that. When I found an accounting unit for it specifically for the history course under the CATA program, and so I would see where travel was made to a particular area 1 week for the history course, and then 2 weeks later to finish the history course in one area. And so
But we didn't go to all 22 organizations every year. We went to 4
yeah,
every year.
it's still in the planning. I don't want to say yes or no, but it's still
But right
being
now, it
developed.
looks like every single one of the 22 organizations is going to get 4 visits.
That's what I just said. It's still being planned, and that's what our hope is, and it's still being planned. If it's within our budget, our travel budget, we just brought on Tommy Wildcat and Catherine Foreman Gray, so I've got people helping me with the planning.
Okay, thank you.
And Jody?
I think she cleared it up. You said all 22 visits, all 22 satellite fees are going to get 4 visits a year. That's what you're planning?
That's what we would like to do. That's what we would like to do, if it's within our budget, our travel
Say
budget.
again?
Yeah.
I got it. What is that, 4 every 4 days? A little over every 4 days? They're going somewhere? When you get that budget worked out, will you send it to me?
Sure.
I'm kind of interested in that. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Donna. Okay, Gary Cooper.
I think you have my report. I would like to make just a couple of announcements. College housing for the spring semester, we're taking applications till Friday, the 18th. And depending on how many applications we get and how many continuing students we have, we may extend that till the end of the month. But right now, we're planning on taking those applications through the 18th. Also in Mays County, Sequoyah County, and Wagner counties. On February 1st, we are going to open up the home ownership waiting list. The home ownership is our the mutual help and rural rental programs. That waiting list has been closed. We've exhausted a biggest part of those applications. We're really looking for 4 bedrooms, especially in Mays and Sequoyah County. But we are opening up the 3 and 4 bedroom list to, I believe it's the first 25 in Mays and Sequoyah County and the first 12 in Mays. And that will be on February 1st. And they're sending out notices as well as putting some notices in the local newspapers and things of that nature. And in Mays County, it will be at the Locust Grove office, and in Sequoyah County, it will be at the Salisal office that will take those applications. And unless you have my report, and those are the 2 main things that I wanted to mention, and if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer those.
David?
I don't have any questions right now, but I want to tell you how much I appreciate you on the Taylor move-in. He's moved in. They've got their electric switch over. They hadn't had a lot of time to, in other words, there hadn't been anybody there at the water company when they go down to go on. So I don't know how long it's going to take to switch their water over.
Okay.
But I did want to let you know that. And
Okay.
my son and I went up there and underpinned that, and with
And I think that's more
your material. But
I
anyway.
think that's more Ron's field than it is
Okay,
mine.
but he probably is listening.
He is.
But those people are very gratified, and thank you very much for helping.
We try to do what I can to help. And 4 bedroom, we're going to take 3 and 4 bedroom applications on February 1st.
3?
3 and 4. We really need some 4s. We have a few 3s, but we really need some 4 bedrooms. We don't have any.
Yeah.
And we need to, I think they've exhausted the whole waiting list on those. So if you all know of anyone.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Don?
Why would you need 4 bedrooms?
We have 4 bedrooms. We have 4, these are for the mutual help or rural rental houses that were built years ago. As we get, for one reason or another, we get houses back. Either folks move out, we have to take the houses back. Sometimes folks pass away and there's no one left to give the house to. There's a number of reasons why we get houses back. And now, mutual help units, that is a program, I mean, it specifically outlines who can qualify for a four-bedroom and who can't. So we have to, if we have empty vacant four-bedroom units that we get back, we have to have somewhere where to fill them from.
I offer a suggestion is wheelchair ramps. If they're on the north side, they're in the shade right now, and most of them are snow and ice on them today, and they'll be on them till it gets in the 40s and 50s. So my suggestion is build the ramps somewhere besides on the north side. I think it'd be a good help. People in, can't get out now. And most houses have places other than those. It's just a suggestion.
I'll be sure to pass that along.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Well, David?
Gary, how many houses do we have that foreclosure that was through the mortgage assistance program?
Right now, today, there's quite a few. I would probably rather turn that over to Anna, refer that to her, because her department is the one who actually works with those families. Now, we do have a few, and this is starting this year from October 1st, current foreclosures, but these were housing authority foreclosures, so that would have been pre-April 30th of 2008. Anything that was done before then, you would see on my list here.
So, someone told me there's 54, in the 50s, of the foreclosure properties, those mortgage assistance, that they got the 15,000.
I would need to send on that. I would. Typically, we send our foreclosure report to David and then to Gary, and I don't have copies of them today, but I'll get it and I'll update you.
So the 1,300 that are in line waiting to get homes, I guess are we just going to close one of those foreclosure properties?
No, we don't get those. Now, on the mortgage assistance, all we have is a soft second. I mean, for lack of a better term, we have a soft second on it.
It's just like we have a lien on the property.
Yeah, there's a first mortgage holder, and they get first bite at the apple. If they can take it to complete the foreclosure, sell it at sheriff's sale, and get above and beyond what they're owed for it, then we have a chance to recoup something. But
Okay. So we have
90% of the time,
I understand. I was under the wrong impression. All right, thanks. Thank you.
Any more questions? Karen, go ahead.
Thank you. So help me understand, because we've been looking at lots of different questions, and some of them I haven't had a chance to forward to you, that they've been on the list for a year for a new home, and they haven't had a response, I don't know what's going on. And I'm going to send you those, you have an
Yeah.
opportunity to research.
if you'll send them to me, I'll look at them because, and I'll be more than happy to take a look at them. Because I'm sure there's about, 97 up in Rogers.
No, the chief said like 300 yesterday.
Yeah, and I think that's if we combine like all of the whole northern area, what used to be the District 5.
So Rogers and Tulsa County?
Yeah, let's see.
5.
I'd have to go back and break it down by that. It looks like, and it's on the back page of my report. For new construction, for Rogers County, and these numbers were as of the end of November, and it reported 97, so I'm guessing that there's probably well over, probably somewhere around 100 to 110 of those. And Tulsa County, another probably 60 plus. And
So it's not 300, there's more like about 150 to 175.
well, and I think probably what we was looking at is some of the other ones, because there are some that I'm showing that there's some mortgage assistance folks that's at one stage of the process or another. I mean, just like Councilman Walking Stick's response was on that. They would probably be better served under the new construction program than they would be under probably the mortgage assistance, because we know what kind of house they're getting. I mean, we know that they're getting a quality house under the new construction program, and on the mortgage assistance, they're having to get their own loan, work with an outside lender, and I mean, for lack of a better term, a lot of times folks kind of get taken advantage of.
I thought that we checked, that was part of the mortgage assistance program, that there wasn't predatory lending, they weren't using that money to buy somebody's slumlord house or a trailer somewhere. I thought that was part
And
of our check.
I'll refer that over to the folks who actually do that. But, I mean, I do know, for instance, that there are, and I think they do. I mean, I really do think they do. But I know that there are times that we look at them and we inspect them. And for one reason or another, we wouldn't pass an inspection, but I think they go through and work with the family to make sure that they, to see if they want it like that or if they don't, but we tried, I mean, in the effort of full disclosure, try to let them.
So I think my question that I was going to start with to help understand is, we have all these constituent questions. So the Housing Authority now separate again from the Cherokee Nation. They need to go to you guys, absolutely comply. We speak fairly seamless to them. And then we went to new construction, so can they access mortgage assistance if they would prefer that still, or Title VI?
Yeah, I mean, well, the mortgage assistance, if they would prefer that, they certainly can. Now, the difference between the two programs is the mortgage assistance. It is a NAHOSTA assisted activity, so they have to be NAHOSTA income eligible. So it has to be 80% or less of the national
So we're no
median.
longer offering mortgage assistance with the tribal money supplement at all?
I don't know
allow
that-
for more flexibility?
I don't know that we've ever used tribal money.
I understood that there was flexibility, because it was that there was a broader income range that could utilize mortgage assistance, is what I recall.
No, mortgage assistance has always been funded through HUD,
Yeah.
and so it reads federal loans.
Through NAHOSTA, so it's always been at the 80%.
And we do make sure they don't get predatory loans.
Well, no.
Thank you. Well, people are calling it, and they're frustrated because they've been promised a new home, and they don't have one in sight.
And I think if you'll look at the one, page 2 there on the bottom, I kind of outlined down at the very bottom, and I broke it down by county, kind of where those folks had applied at and kind of where their applications fell. And you will see that we had quite a few families who were supposed to get a self-help home under the old community services program, under the old self-help program, that never got one. That we're trying to, right there, it's at the next page.
This is where I was.
The next one there, right at the bottom. We had about 107 that was on the old self-help waiting list. That should have got, or that was supposed to get something from, or was on the waiting list for self-help. Some of them were years ago, some of them weren't recent, and then most of the rest of those had applied at a later date. So there are several that we are trying to work with that should have got something, that had been on the waiting list for a lot longer than a year. They were on the self-help waiting list probably for the most part. I think I remember seeing a couple on there since like 2008 and 2009 that never got assistance. So those are the ones that we are working with immediately, but I know that we are working on, we have been working to process some of the applications up in your area, and I think there's about 10 that we have looked at or done inspections on in just Rogers County alone that we're in the land process on, if that makes,
Where are those located at, Rogers County?
I would have to go back and look, because it's based on, whenever they do the original pool per county, it's based on the kind of application. And who has land and where they're at. Now, our application system doesn't allow me to pinpoint exactly where they live at. All I have is their address. But now I don't know.
Which may not be where you're building.
May not be where they want the house at. So if you'd like, I can try to get fairly close.
And people are wanting to understand what's going on.
And they may be trying to, I've asked them that they keep some of the, try to track them by community, where whenever we do the land inspection, what community is that land inspection located in. So that's where, that's where they're planning on building their house, and track it and keep track of it. So we are, I'll try to get that information for you and send it to you, email it to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Time?
Yes. Would you care on page 20, where you're talking about the application status? Will you break that down as to the number that has land in each county versus the number that does not have land?
Yep.
Because as I understand your program, if you're without land, then you're going to go behind the people that are with land.
You want me to break down both parts, the top and the bottom, or just one or the
If
other?
you have enough room, or if you want to do it on another one that you're, this part of your report.
We could probably just add another one, just with that information. How many have land, how many do not?
And break it down by county.
Okay.
Because
Do we want to just do
I
you
think-
want to see just how many have land, don't have land by county, or do we want to see where they're at?
it would be good if we could see where they were at.
I'll get that information.
Because my understanding from a prior report you gave to us was that about half do not have land.
Yeah, I think we had and it varies by county. I think that, let me get that report for you, because I would like, I would hate to say, yeah, we do, or not, but I think, overall, I think there's somewhere around 40-some% that have land, but if you look at it by county, some
Varies greatly.
It varies.
It's bigger than, in some counties, it's a bigger portion going to have no land. And they understood when they applied, I think you've said this in a report, that if they had no land, they were told up front, they would go behind people with land.
Yes, everyone's told, we have 3 preference categories. People with land get the first preference. People without land are people who will take land that housing authority owns. And depending on where we're at or what community we're working in. And for the first part of it, a lot of it was which category those folks on the community service program.
If you could do that, I'd appreciate it.
I can. I'll
Thank
make
you.
sure that I do that for you.
Joe?
Gary, I appreciate your way of reporting. Easy to read. The applicants that do not have land, so they take a back seat to the people that do. That's a good and bad, because where I'm raised, there's not too many people going to have land there. So we have to create an option for them. We have to assist these people. There's no reason to just throw them under the bus if they don't have land.
Yeah, and we are. There was some land that was bought in the past, but a lot of it was large tracts out in, Redbird, Fairfield, and some different places. But whenever I have folks who ask about land, I rather look at smaller tracts, several lots here, a few lots here, or whatever, wherever it may be at, and see if we can do something along those lines rather than buy, a 300-acre tract.
Sure. That's been tried before.
Yeah, and it doesn't work.
Years past, and it wasn't successful.
And you know as well as I do that.
Yeah.
we can't move folks from down at Bellefonte
You
up
can't
to
uproot traditional
Fairfield.
people
Yeah.
from their cemeteries and churches and school and expect them to survive.
And that's not, and we certainly don't want to do that.
Another question I was going to ask, and I'm glad Dr. Morton is present. I know we talked about this briefly, but has there been any progress, or is there any more options to helping the Bellefonte Bell School with the land they have? I know a school can't can't deed land over, but is there any options we're looking at for them for survival?
We can't do it the way they originally wanted to do it. I have looked at and requested an appraisal on the piece of property that they wanted to sell to us. It didn't come back in at quite what they wanted for it.
Okay.
So I'm not going to say that, no, there's no hope. I'm going to say that, we'll continue to look at it and work with them to see if there's any possible way that we can maybe make something work.
Appreciate that, Gary. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any more questions? Okay. While Ron and Gary are here, I'll thank them for helping a young lady at Copan, a single parent with 2 kids who y'all provided sewer and water the week before Christmas. And so they were able to move into that home Christmas week, and thank you guys for, somebody went above and beyond. So
I think that was Community Services and Water and Sanitation Department, but it was Ron's department.
We really appreciate it. Thank you.
And I would mention too that any folks who have folks in their areas who need, like, we do have a temporary rental assistance program. It's like an emergency type program. Send them to our office, but get a hold of us and we'll be more than happy to help them. But what it is it's for folks who need a place to live in a bad way, or is getting ready to lose their place. Send them to us, and we work with Marcia's group. Marcia has some funding to do some things that we can't. We have some funding to do some things that Marcia can't, and our staff work together to try to get these folks help. So if they need, temporary or emergency rental assistance, send them our way, and we'll definitely. I know that came up a couple of times, so I just want to be sure to mention that.
And I'll add that Marcia just took care of one of those issues for me recently. And thank Marcia, her people. Thank you, Gary. Michael Lynn.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. You have my report. I'm going to keep my report brief. I know we're running behind on time, and I would like to reserve a portion of my time for the Grand Gateway presentation later on in the agenda. I did pass out some calendars that was developed by Sherry Waters in my office. Something we're pretty proud of. First time we've done it. Hope you guys enjoy it. If you need any more, let us know. We've got some more over there. But I'd be glad to answer any questions you guys may have.
I just wanted to say thank you again on the summer Indian Hospital signage meeting, because it looks like, I haven't checked all of them, but it looks like they've made some of the adjustments we talked about.
Good. We were just talking about that before the meeting, and I wasn't sure what was going on with it.
I don't know, when you have time, or if you have time, if you could do a check and run through just to make sure that everything, and then help out ODOT to make sure we got captured everything that we talked about. Those little things help up in our community.
Okay, very good. I'll check on it.
Frankie?
Michael, do we have a start date on the road through Malheur Hall there at Round Bunch?
We don't have an official start date yet. The plans are still being developed and designed. We haven't even began acquiring right-of-way yet. And I don't believe we've even got the DEPA document approved yet. So there's still a lot of things we've got to go through before we get there. But no, we don't have an official start date.
Okay, and I also want to thank you for checking on that landfill road. That's a monster up there.
We're still looking at some options there. I may need to come back to you on it, but I'll let you know.
Thank you.
Chuck?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Michael, do you know off the top of your head if the Ash Street project in Bonita has been approved, and if you can follow up with me, but it's, I think it was close to being approved last month.
Would it be called Ashland?
I think, Ashland,
Yes, sir. I think it is approved. Yes,
okay.
sir.
All right.
I believe it is. Let me follow up on
okay.
it for sure,
Great.
but I
Thank
believe it is.
Thank you, Mike.
Okay, thank you.
Anna Knight?
Afternoon. I'll keep mine brief as well. I do just have two items that I wanted to hand out. They have a new mortgage lending rules that became public last week, and so we've kind of summarized that for you guys. So here's a copy of the new mortgage. It doesn't affect us directly, but it's a part of the ongoing mortgage crisis that you all are interested in. And also a copy of our free tax preparation schedule. We'll start performing taxes on January 28th, and so here's a copy of the schedule. We mailed out one that said we were going to be in the housing offices in Veneta, but we're actually going to be at the Veneta Clinic. There also has been a few rule changes from the IRS on the tax preparation, and so people are upset with us because we require IDs from both of them, original Social Security cards. Those are all IRS rulings. Other than that, I'm happy to answer any questions you might have about my report.
Any questions? Good report.
Thank you.
And we have no old business pending. Our new business is by Grand Gateway. And Michael, did you stay in the room? Could you make this introduction for us?
Thank you again, Mr. Chair. We have with us this afternoon from Grand Gateway Pelivan Transit Operations, Ms. Debbie McGlasson. I'll let her introduce the gentleman that are with her. While she's coming up, I would like to pass out a transit update that we prepared while Ms. McGlasson gives the presentation.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, thank you for inviting Grand Gateway. It's an honor. I am a Cherokee Nation tribal citizen from Craig County, so I come with great respect for what you do and have paid attention for many years. On behalf of Grand Gateway, I would like to introduce to you Brian Barger is the Assistant Transit Director for Pelivan Transit. Dan Kelly is our Operations Manager for Pelivan Transit, and I am the Transit Director. And Pelivan Transit, we are situated in the 7 counties here in northeastern Oklahoma, and that is, of course, your northern quadrant of Cherokee Nation. And Pelivan has been in operation for 27 years. I think a lot of you probably have known. I know Charles' grandmother, Millie Griffin, at Grand Gateway was a very respected employee, and we now have honors each year for outstanding employees that serve for Grand Gateway. I want to just give you an idea. I don't think I'm pushing my 7-year tenure in public transit, and I haven't had the privilege to educate you on rural public transit and the tribal transit, and maybe some of you know, but just a really quick overview. I'm a very visual person, so if you too are, I'm going to pass around. This is just some fare schedules, and it will show the type of services that Pelivan Transit provides. In our counties, each one of the cities, and we're talking Pryor, Claremore, Big Cabin serves Veneta and Pryor, and Grove, and Owasso. And in all of these dispatch centers, we take calls every day for demand response. And I know that some concern has been raised for Nowata County and Washington County. This is in, that furthermost point of the Cherokee Nation. And I will attest that Nowata County, we're dealing with the poverty, the revenues that are coming in the economic development sense. And so with Pelivan Transit, we have been unable to extend our services in years past to set up a dispatch center, mainly because the city, whenever we operate our 5311 grant, which is a rural public, we are required to have local match. Now with the tribal transit monies, it's 100% funding. But with the 5311 and the rural public, we have to go out and secure the local match. And so in the Nowata area, we have not been successful in years past. However, Grand Gateway has really stepped forward. They are in the process of creating a public charity, 501c3. And these type of entities will help us to try to secure some additional funding. We've been visited by Google, Pillsbury, a number of for-profit corporations that have charitable donations. And I know in Nowata County, we also have some manufacturers that maybe we can look at PSO and some of the providers and manufacturers in the area to help us with funding. But let's talk about some questions that you all raised at your last community services meeting. One of which, I think there was some tribal citizens that had contacted Pelivan, and they called on same day, and they weren't able to secure a ride. So I think when you look at how the schedule is set up, we try to encourage riders to call 24 hours in advance if they can. We do know that some people wake up on a given day and they're ill, and we need to try to get them to a doctor's office and, address the immediate needs. And so we've tried to bring to you a solution, really not excuses today. I know working with Chairman and Dick, you have been very good to represent your constituents in that area. And remember, we had a meeting about a year ago when you voiced a concern about having services up in the area. And we didn't have any funding. And like any of you all, we know that we go from year to year on the funding scenario. Our new fiscal year started October 1. And so with Pelivan Transit in October 1 new fiscal year, we have hired a driver. We have transferred a vehicle over for the Nowata County area. We would like to address the Cherokee Nation and possible the clinic there in Nowata to allow our driver to park there, to actually have a place to come in and get warm when he's not out on call. And we're hoping that we can work through these details to establish a satellite. All of the calls will continue to go into Big Cabin to the 800 number, and then the dispatcher will dispatch to this driver, and he is newly hired. We hired him 2 weeks ago. We have been advertising in that area for about a month and a half to 2 months to try to find a driver and to hire somebody. We have hired a pastor that serves in the community of Nowata, and we've already trained him in the Claremore area. So I'm hoping that we can bring an immediate solution, some relief. Now, this comes with some limitations, and that's the part that I hope that I can help you all to see today. With a driver and a vehicle situated up in this area, the only funding source will be Cherokee Nation demand response funding. I think right now we're waiting to secure contract with you, and I believe the amount is around $47,000. $47,000 is covering the entire 7-county area. Right now we have built in just a short year, demand response has grown from just a couple of rides to we're pushing 600 rides a month now. Of course, we have the Indian Hospital in Claremore. We have all of these clinics in our region. There is just a huge demand. And of course, with our aging population, it is an area that we hope we'll see focus in the future for continued transportation. But the $47,000, we already have expended $24,000 of it since October 1. So you can see the remaining balance for the remaining of the year, the pool of money is limited. I know in the last meeting, I think Michael brought up a $232,000 contract that Pelivan entered, but that was for specific work routes that have already been established for several years. They're very successful. And I know we have work routes that are running from Pryor to Catoosa, 6 routes a day. We have routes running from Salina into Tahlequah, routes that are running from Jay into Tahlequah now. And with that, in a year's time, we traveled 212,246 miles on those routes alone, and provided rides for 16,642 people. Now, that is some rides getting folks to work in here to the Nation and to a lot of the businesses that are owned by the Cherokee Nation. But I can tell you that on future tribal transit funding with the Federal Transit Administration, it is performance-based. So the demand response is a very popular and a much needed when we have someone in Nowata County. Matter of fact, I took a call Friday evening in my home from a constituent in Craig County, and the gentleman, 90 years old, and he had an appointment to go to a doctor, a specialist, I believe, in Tulsa, that the Cherokee Nation Clinic had made the appointment with Pelivan Transit, and we verified that, yes, his ride was arranged. So the need and the demand is great, and of course this is one rider, and it's a very important ride. I don't want you to think that I'm downplaying demand response. It's very needed. But on the future funding with Federal Transit Administration, we've been under Safety Lou. Safety Lou is no more. It ended, and this is the last year of funding. Cherokee Nation received $350,000 for the final year of that, which was a decrease in funding. The same thing with the 9-Tribe Consortium in Ottawa County. They had a decrease in funding. So now we've built a momentum with a lot of our ridership, but we're having to do the same, hopefully have a continuum, and but the challenge is we've had a cut in funding. Now, let's talk a year out. They are looking, and I mentioned to you the revenue miles and the ridership. It's based on 3 tiers in MAP 21. Tribal transit funding across the nation was $15 million, and Oklahoma, we've really done good. We've brought a lot of money into the state of Oklahoma with our tribes, and there's been good collaboration and high respect on that level. Now with MAP 21 2 years out, we will get $30 million allocated to tribal transit, which is double. That will look good 2 years from now, where we might be dealing with $350,000 now, but we might be seeing anywhere from $700,000 to $900,000, which then helps to posture us to look at all the services that we're falling short on. So the short-term solution to your request is, yes, we have a driver, yes, we have a vehicle placed in Nowata, but we're limited for the duration of time for the remaining tribal funding. Again, for all of the 7 counties, we'll have about $25,000 left to spend on that. And we have tried to dovetail that with Logisticare, and you probably heard of Sooner Rides of Oklahoma. So we know that some of our tribal citizens are eligible for that. So if they call and they work through the Sooner Rides of Oklahoma, and Sooner Ride pays for their ride, then we can use that money toward this project. So we at least have a point of origin and a way to start, and we're hoping we can start building ridership. We still do want to protect the existing routes as much as we can, because the 3 tiers in MAP 21 are based on revenue miles. So 212,000 miles, or the portion that's funded into the Cherokee Nation as a portion of our total budget, and all the other transits that the Cherokee Nation collaborates with, it will impact us 2 years out on funding. So if we can continue with these work routes, getting folks to work, that will be helpful. We want to find some other pockets of money to help the project, and we do want to help Nowata County. Washington County is handled with Cimarron Transit, and I believe that Michael has had communication with them to see if we can have some extended transportation from Washington County. In an overview, I hope that gave you an idea, and at this point I'd like to just open it up for questions, discussions on...
We're going to have a lot of questions. I'd like to start, and I think I'll probably start with Ms. Fraley and come around the corner this way. The 232, is there an admin charge that I'm sure you have to charge something. How much of an admin
There is an
charge?
indirect charge, and that indirect charge is for Grand Gateway's portion. For the copy machine, I don't really think I need to explain to a council what indirect represents. And the indirect rate is 33% in Grand Gateway. And we are the only operating program for Grand Gateway. All other programs, Agency for Aging Americans, there is no structure similar like the Cherokee Nation. There is not a general fund. All the other programs with Grand Gateway are pass-through programs. So the transportation program, each one of them have a shared load. And the indirect is only charged to the labor, and it's a chargeable salary only, and it's applied for that program. It's not, across the board total cost of the program. It's only, for example, for the driver that will be in Nowata County, it's only the small fraction of hours that is applied to his labor. And that methodology has been very successful in trying to spread that across the board with all of the programs. Pelivan Transit has 90 employees. We've grown from 20 employees and 20 vehicles. We currently stand with 90 employees and 74 vehicles in 6 years.
The Nowata and Washington County problem, I think it's the city of Bartlesville only that are hooked up with the other bus service that you mentioned. If I'm wrong, correct me, but we have a lot of folks who are from Copan to Bartlesville to Dewey to Oshaleta who go to the Nowata Clinic and they get shipped out to Tulsa.
Well,
so you cannot go outside the city limits of Bartlesville and help us that way.
We would be happy to if we can have a gentleman agreement with Cimarron Transit and they say they do not want to provide that service. We just have this respect among each other, and if they open that up, and I don't know if that conversation has been had with Cimarron, then we would look in the direction of using the demand response monies, and then again, the 501c3 public charity that Grand Gateway is working toward, and that was built for transit and our elderly. And, the public charity and the fundraising is exclusively to help those two programs.
And how many counties within the 14 do you serve now with this program?
7. 7 counties.
Okay,
and under Grand Gateway umbrella, Washington County is under the Grand Gateway umbrella. But it's been a history before me, before my tenure with Pelivan, that Grand Gateway did not serve. They served the city of Bartlesville for a short period of time, and Bartlesville was unable to come up with local match. So the grant ended. And then a period of time went forth, and I believe Cimarron Transit had access to some monies and helped the local entities in Bartlesville. So they came to us, and we told them, certainly, if you all can put together, the bottom line is to serve the people in that area. So they moved forward with the city of Bartlesville, and I think hopefully the petroleum company, some of the for-profit entities are involved. I really personally do not know that. But if they will not go into the Washington County area and they're in agreement, then I'll talk with Ed Crone and we'll see if we can do demand response on behalf of Pelivan and the driver that we have now situated. And I might say that, from Bartlesville, maybe around 20, Nowata is situated about 19 miles into Veneta, 31 miles into Big Cabin, about 30 miles into Claremore. So you can see it's just situated right in the hub, where if we don't put a driver in that area, we're dealing with so much deadhead, which is, just an added cost, that there's just no revenue that we can recoup.
So the driver has been hired 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
Didn't know that. Nobody told us.
Well, I knew I was coming, and okay. I wanted to present it to you. I mean, to me, I listen to what you say. And it's not that I haven't, I just did not have any funding anyway. And I have to write that in my grant, and it starts October 1. There are legalities in the 5311 grant, and if I go outside of the frame of the original grant, I have to amend it. So we just included Nowata County going forward. So we were in motion trying to get to that point, but nothing is ever soon enough, especially when you get that call from someone who has a need. And Michael, did you?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, if I can, we did late last week meet or had discussions with Cimarron Transit on the telephone, and they are willing, we're going to have some future meetings with them towards the end of the month, but they are willing to go out outside of the Barnesville city limits area into the county to transport riders to and from wherever they need to go. Primarily, we were talking about the No-Water Clinic and the Barnesville Clinic. With that being said, the utilization of Pelivan services is an option if we need to, but right now I think they're willing to perform the service through Cimarron. But again, we're going to be
For the whole county?
For the whole county, yes, sir. We'll be having future discussions with them.
What concerns me is I hear about all these 212,000 miles. Is that on an annual basis, I guess? Yeah. And you must understand, and Michael does, that we pass through this money for the 14 counties. And it seems like very few counties may be getting served, or we're not passing through enough money. Tell me the solution. Money is always the answer,
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Is that the solution, more money?
Well, we've spent every dollar that we've had on the services that we're providing.
Well, I appreciate your time, and Deborah, by the way, is a very nice lady to sit down and talk to. And what was your maiden name? I forget. Mouse. Yeah. I'll go ahead and turn it loose to, we'll start with Meredith and come around this way. Meredith, do you have some questions?
In the interest of time, I'm just going to say thanks for your service. In Mays County, I know you've worked with some people there on your time and of service, etc., and it really has helped one lady in particular who doesn't have reliable transportation. So, thanks a lot.
That's what we're here for.
Yeah, appreciate it.
And it is, we have very committed employees. We do look at it as a community service, and it's an extension. And there is no profit, even when we talk indirect. Transportation program last year, we had a deficit. We carried forward, cleared out some assets, so there is just not any profit. Ed Crone, which many of you know, has been involved with Grand Gateway for many years. Strong advocate for economic development in our region. And the bottom line is the services, and he looks at it as a whole, that we're getting people to work, they're expending money into the region, so through time it will help. And we are posturing for a more successful transit system. It's just real key right now because FTA on a national level looks at the revenue miles. And so it kind of ties our hands in. We know the strong needs in all 14 counties, but we know that some of these work routes are helping to bring, which now we are seeing a little bit of reward. When we know 2 years out it could be anywhere from 700,000 to 900,000. We've been seeing 250, 350, and hopefully for at least 2 years we'll see a jump in that and be able to posture and establish some better transit services to help the greater good for more than who we are serving now.
Lee?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I really appreciate your service as well. I have known a lot of people who utilize your service, and I particularly, not to discount the office staff, but the drivers whom I've seen help the elderly or the handicapped. It's real touching to see that, and my hat goes off to those drivers who take the time to do that. And for those of us who don't know or who may not know, can you just walk us through when maybe a handicapped person gets on there or someone who needs assistance, what the driver will do for them?
Well, being under Federal Transit Administration, we have a stringent safety training program that we are required to do. So the driver is already trained and acclimated when we're dealing with a wheelchair, that they have a certain tie-down procedure. And Pelivan Transit has a safety belt policy, where we encourage every rider, and we have to do that even for what we call an ambulatory person, that you, that would board on our own, in order to encourage someone in a wheelchair to use that lap belt. So the protocol, we do extend that service to when that driver pulls up to their home, and it's a new rider they will get out and go and offer, you need for me to help you. They will offer assistance to the Pelican, and then some of our riders are very independent, and they refuse, and so the driver may walk along their side, but they will secure them in a wheelchair, or if they have a walker, cane, they'll secure those and ask them to buckle up, and then transport them. We have a door-to-door policy. We discourage our drivers to not go through the door. Now, that's where we feel like community services and the extension of the community health representative, we would need an aid to assist somebody who needed to go through the door because of the liability. Right now, we have to carry a $5 million liability policy because that's what FTA mandates for us. Because where we're situated in northeastern Oklahoma, we have to cross the state lines from time to time. So, but basically, they will secure them and provide the ride. Did that generally cover?
Yes, and I've seen that, plus they go above and beyond.
They do. They will take their groceries and at least get them to the door for them. And they love our drivers. And for the sake of time, but one of the best stories out of Craig County was a senior companion volunteer. She's 80 years old, and they interviewed her with the Bonita paper, and they asked, what is the best part of your job? And we really expected her to say, well, serving my friends and helping. And she said, my Pelican driver. She said, because if it wasn't for him, I couldn't get out of my home, I couldn't help others, and I wouldn't have a reason to live. And truly, the drivers become a part of the family of a lot of riders that we serve. And, when you're talking in our region, there's 49,000 tribal citizens just in our 7-county alone. And then 250,000 people in our region. And we just are growing and growing with the demand of ridership. The demand is greater than the resources. And that's why we're trying to become innovative, think outside of the box. We know that there's limitation on federal grant money, state grant monies, but with those for-profit entities, that's why we want to set up a public charity where maybe we can receive some of those $1,000 checks from Walmart to help cover fares or meet where Nowata didn't have enough. But anyway.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Garvin, did you have anything?
I think my question probably to Michael, do we have this same service in Sequoia County?
In Sequoia County, we do run from Sallisaw to Talcott, yes, sir.
Do you have individual rides from the home to Six Flags Hospital?
We do have, under demand response, the program that Debbie was speaking of, they cannot utilize demand response for services like that, yes.
Who do they contact?
Be CATS in that. Debbie covers sort of the northern areas. CATS, Cottonwood Area Transit System, covers the southern part. And then over there to the west, we also work with Muskogee
They go
County
into
Transit.
Sparks Hospital, Arkansas?
I'd have to talk to them about crossing state lines. I believe, Debbie probably knows more than I do about the CATS, about what they can and can't do, but I believe they can cross state lines.
Yes, they can too. They're just like we are, interstate.
I need to get a telephone number or something from you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Tina, did you have anything? Any questions?
No, thank you for what you do for the tribe.
Curtis?
No.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, I just appreciate you being here and the information you shared. You all do a tremendous service to our folks in Craig County and the other northern counties. I just very much appreciate it. One question I did I hear the grant for the on-demand, was there a grant for the on-demand from the federal government, and that is in its third and final year, or was I mistaken about
The demand response is a separate contract with Pelican between the Cherokee Nation, and it is about $47,000. We haven't entered into contract yet. The fixed routes are about $232,000, and so it is for a whole year. And again, we've already expended $24,000 of that, so it sounds like a lot, but it's when you pick them up at their home, and we do. We pick them up, we'll take them to Tulsa. Right now with the Cherokee Nation, the way the contract is defined, we will provide for medical and education, employment, social, get to the admin offices and their needs. We have abstained from the social, like the casinos. I know this is part of our businesses, but we just had to limit it somewhere. And I did experience that in Ottawa County, where we didn't limit it, and we were taking some of the riders from smoke shop to smoke shop, comparing prices, and liquor store to liquor store, and and that's half a morning and we felt like the doctor appointment. So we did have to put in, and I appreciate Cherokee Nation recognizing that, not for self-interest, but mainly just knowing that the need is greater than our resource.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right, we are running really late. Does anyone else have any questions?
We just appreciate their work, and we'll discuss this later.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you for having us. It's an honor to serve.
Next meeting is February 11th at 2 o'clock, and need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay. All right, we are adjourned. Take 10 minutes since we've lost half of our crew, and we'll be back.